Hello everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to another episode in the series here. My name is Dominic and I am the host of the Android Factory. In the last episode we went ahead, refactored the way we were handling the data for this home screen to be follow the view state pattern that we've recently been dealing with. The main advantage of this is now we can basically submit any home view state object to the epoxy controller here, and it will know how to display the information accordingly. So this really set us up for being able to sort or maybe even filter the data down the line. And so today we're going to go ahead and implement a little sorting action. So I think it's a pretty common practice for this stuff to be done in an Android bottom sheet, which is basically just another fragment that's kind of has a few special properties to it. So we're going to go ahead and implement a bottom sheet to allow the user to basically select a method of sorting that they would like to. So first things first, you have to go ahead and get a little icon here. So we just grabbed the sort icon here from our resource manager, the vector asset, and I think we're just able to set that up as a menu in our home fragment. Okay, so just quickly created a menu here in our menu resource package, and then went ahead in the home fragment and inflated this menu in our onCreateOptions menu function that we can override. And then in our onOption item selected, we went ahead and just captured this little moment here for if our item ID is the sort item, we're going to go ahead and do something, otherwise we don't care for it. So just going to build to make sure this works. Okay, great. Emulator running a little slow here, but had to update the app icon tint here to be the color on primary because it's sitting in our toolbar, and I set it to have a color of black. But now we have it here, the white on the black, and then otherwise we have the white on this, grayish primary as well. Also, one other thing here, forgot to call the set has options menu true. This is basically your way as a fragment of notifying the activity that yes, this fragment wants to update the toolbar here. And then if we flip to the profile fragment, or if we were to go into this other fragment here to update or create an item, it doesn't exist, right? So we've only told the activity, yes, we want to have this fragment updated, update the menu, and so then these two functions will actually matter. So now it's a matter of implementing our bottom sheet here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a pretty verbose here, where we're going to make a sort order bottom sheet dialog fragment. And instead of extending our base fragment, we're actually going to go ahead and extend the bottom sheet dialog fragment. Very quickly create a layout for us here. Okay, so welcome back everybody. Went ahead and created just a pretty basic layout here for the actual bottom sheet itself. Went ahead and created a layout for the particular epoxy controller that we're eventually going to have to build, and then set some things up here in our bottom sheet fragment. So we have our classic view binding stuff here, gets initialized in onCreate view, gets nulled out in onDestroy view, and then we went ahead and actually are able to get our particular view model via our parent fragment, which now that I think about it, is going to be incorrect because we want the one that is scoped to the activity view model, and so we're just going to do that instead. Wonderful. So we just want to make sure that we're getting the same view model that we've been working in here in the entire app and not build a new instance of the view model that doesn't have any data, because we are eventually going to want to handle the on-click here for our items. So I'm going to go ahead really quickly and just add another package here to kind of clean things up. So I'm just going to say bottom sheet. I'm going to add our bottom sheet to it. And then we're also going to add our bottom sheet epoxy controller here, which is going to extend our epoxy controller. This is going to take a, what are they called? Sort. I'll call them sort options, but they are going to be the tomb via view state, home view state, sort. It's going to be a list of them. So then we're going to go ahead and build our models here inside of our data class. Let's see what we can call it. Sort order item epoxy model. I have to go ahead and take a sort. This is going to extend our view binding Kotlin model. We know how this works. Of type model sort that. Very good. We're going to go ahead and bind it, and we're just going to say test sort. Wait, what? Oh. That is because we copy and pasted the text view from the previous screen. I'm going to say root.set onClick listener. We're going to need a particular listener here for the we're going to call it the selected callback, which is going to take this. Wonderful, and we're going to go ahead and invoke that selected callback with our sort. Now that I think about it, I'm going to go ahead and set background to be the selectable item background, so we get that nice little ripple effect. And we're going to need this as well here. And then, pretty simply, we're just going to say sort options for each sort order item epoxy model with the sort, with it and the selected callback. The ID is just going to be sort it.displayName, and then we're just going to add it to our controller there. So pretty easy controller implementation. We will go ahead and create that controller here. set controller and build models here with our epoxy controller. So that should be pretty straightforward. And this might be all wired up here. I think we actually need to do something once we set the current sort here. So let's go ahead and run this. We'll say field equals value. And then we basically want to rerun this with our items, right? So with our this guy, with the value of what we have in our live data. So I don't know exactly how I feel about doing this, like calling this function again, but basically we want to go ahead and just, update our view model here, or sorry, our view state here based upon the different ways that we're going to allow for sorting here. So that will take care of that. And then inside of our home fragment, we need to very simply create our bottom sheet dialog fragment here. Sorry. Dot show with the child fragment manager. And what was this tag? Let's just leave it at null, that's fine. And that should just about do it. So let's go ahead and give it a whirl here. Okay, so after a little bit of cleanup here, there was a few things I was missing, like I don't even know, an orientation and a layout manager. I mean, obvious things for recycler views. Kind of played around with some padding a little bit because things were spaced out a little too big and whatnot, but otherwise, no code has changed, just kind of configured some things around in our XML here. But we click this button here, and we click the button here, we get our bottom sheet here. There's no fancy code, right? Other than doing this to actually create the bottom sheet and then show the bottom sheet, which is literally, one line of code. Because we are extending the bottom sheet dialog fragment, we basically get to build a fragment, right? All the lifecycle callbacks, all of that kind of stuff still stays the same. But we get this nifty little, interaction, if you will, with our application that Android users are very, very familiar with. So if you've also ever seen, like Google Maps or the Uber app, they kind of have that little bar that just like sits down here the whole time, and then you can like click and drag and expand it up. That again is a different kind of bottom sheet that has its own uses and just a couple different properties, but it's all the same thing under the hood. This one is just the bottom sheet that we're showing and then dismissing, and obviously you can click away, or if we go ahead and select one of our items here from this list, we will go ahead and actually, or yeah, you can like scroll it back down, but we will go ahead and invoke the view model here. Oh, I know what that is. That is our empty state, isn't it? Oh, no, wrong thing. Yes. Should be color background. Sorry about that. So we just update the color there, and then that will go away. But what we did notice is that the sort is kind of working, right? So we have none selected right now, I guess, because it just defaults to that. But if we say we want to see the oldest first, there are no items, right? And that's because in our view model here, we are not implementing any of these other sort options. Yet when we do set our current sort, we go ahead and update our value here, and then we rerun our logic to basically build the new view state. And all that ends up happening is we create an empty list. If it's anything other than none, we don't do anything at the moment, and then we just post an empty list, and our recycler view or our epoxy controller detects that we are in an empty state and therefore shows this view instead of anything else. So two things to note there. One, fantastic that our application is working as expected, in the sense that we just very easily supported, and it doesn't look glorious, but we did submit a new view state to that controller, and it did update and display the UI accordingly, number one. And then number two is we have some work to do here with our different sort functionalities and whatnot. So I think in the next episode, we're going to go ahead and just implement these different kinds of sort here so that we can see different things on the screen. And then maybe we'll talk about what's next after that. So if you made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.